Hi, I'm Frank, and I'm going to show you today how to use an IoT Programmable SIM using API and the KPN API Store. First, we are going to authenticate with an online service. Then, we are going to retrieve a list of SIM cards provisioned in your account. And then finally, we are going to see how to activate the SIM cards to start using mobile services. So in this demo, I'm using Node.js. So I will create the directory for the project, called demo, and I'll install some basic libraries that I need from Node.js to implement a sequence of web calls. So it has request and request promise. And now I can open my project in Atom. You can use any environment or editor if you prefer another one. And in this project, I'm going to create a new JavaScript file. And I'll call it demo.js. So the first thing I need to do is create variables. So the first one is to import the library I'm using to implement the web calls. So we're going to do request promise. And then I need to define a couple of variables which represent the URL. So one will be the base URL, which should be https://api-prd.kpn.com, and the app URL I'll define with the API Store, which is IoT/JPU/IoT Programmable SIM. Alright, now I need a couple more variables to keep my key and my secret. So I'm going to copy and paste these from the API portal. So the key will be pasted here, and then the secret will be pasted here. So now I can create my first function to authenticate with the web service. I will use a callback to the main function once this is accomplished. So first I will define the options for the web call. The method will be post. The headers in this case, I just need to set the content type as they describe in the IoT Programmable main page on the API Store. So let's go ahead and copy and paste them from there. Okay, and this is the content type. Which we take from the authentication part of the main page of the API. And then I use the base URL plus the URL of the authorization service, which is this one. Okay, last thing, I need to set the body, and in the body we will have the client ID that contains the key, and we will have the client secret, which contains the secret. And that's the format of my request. Now I'm going to invocate with the RP library, and in the case of success, I will execute the callback to the main function. Like this. I'm going to pass the response into a JSON so it's easier to print. And in case of failure, I'm going to send back the error to the main function. Okay, so now for the main function, let's call the authenticate function and implement the callback for it. It will be function demo and in case of error, I will print the error to the console log. And in case of no error, I'll print the response. So let's print the full response for now. And then save and execute. So now you can see I'm going to run my demo. And I have a mistake here. Let's fix it quickly. Yes, the parameters are missing. Let's try again. All right, so now we have the response from the authentication server, and I get an access token that I can use for the APIs. Okay, next we need to retrieve all the SIM cards provisioned to my accounts. So let's create a new function called getAllSIMCards and use a callback again to the main function. This time it'll be a get that we need to perform. The headers this time will contain the authorization headers, which need the token that we received from the authorization API. So the authorization needs the name of the header, and then the content will be bearer plus the token. So let's have the token as an input of this function and use it in this header. Now the URI is base URL plus app URL plus things, because this is what we call a SIM card in the programmable IoT platform. Now let's invoke the web request, and now upon success, let's report to the main function. Callback will be null response. And let's parse the response as a JSON again to have a nice printout in case of error. And let's report the error to the main function as well. callback, error, Okay, so now let's invoke this new function, get all SIM cards. And we get the token from the response. So let's use the right syntax here and the callback. Let's call it list or list SIM cards. All right, and in case of error, we can print an error, same as here. And in case of success, we can print the response. Let's print the full response for now and save and execute. Just a small mistake here. Let's try again. And okay, we're authenticated. And here I have a list, a structure. In fact, it's an array. So let's try to load this array and print only the information we need from it. So for index in resp, let's print for each item. The thing ID would be a good ID because it's the unique identifier of the SIM card. And let's print the state because this is what we want to change. So we can see the current state is provisioned, and we will want to change it to active in a moment, all right? The thing ID is provisioned, so our thing ID ends in 592. So let's do a function now that changes the state to active so the SIM card can consume mobile services. So set thing state, which takes a token, and it'll need the state. So let's put thing ID first, and then the state, and then the callback. All right? So this time, the method should be output. But if you're not sure, we can check in the Swagger file on the API Store. Let's look for thing state, and it is a put. So if we look on the right side, then I think we should find the models for this API. So the model is string, and the options are here. Provisioned, test active, suspended, and active is the one I want to use here to consume services. So for the moment, my SIM is provisioned and it's not been charged, but as soon as I set it to active, the charging will begin on the SIM card. So headers again need authorization and bearer plus the token here. And then URI is the same base URL plus the API URL, plus this time it's thing API. And we need the thing ID next from the input file, followed by the state where we need the state API to change the state of the thing. And then in the body, we are going to set the state so we can always look on the API page, the Swagger page, or the body of the API. So in this case, it's a plain string named state. So very simple, just state, and the wanted state is active. JSON true is needed for the library to set the appropriate content type as JSON, and then invoke the web request in case of success. Implement the callback function. This, CB, null, and then resp. And in case of mistake or error, CB error null. So now let's invoke this in our loop. So after printing the state for each SIM card in my account, I'm going to change the state to active. So I need a token here, and the token needs to be a variable. So I need to define a local one here. var token equals response.access.token. Okay? Then thing state token thing ID is thing ID, and the state should be active, and the callback function implementation. I'm just going to print the result, and let's try to run this to see how it works. Okay, thing ID 592 is provisioned, The state updated successfully, so we could change the state to active, but maybe I don't want to change it all the time. So let's check if the current state is active. So if it's not active, let's set it to active. And this, if already active, we just want to do nothing. So now let's try again. And okay, so 592 is active, so nothing to do here. So we can activate a SIM card, and it should now be able to consume mobile services. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you and that it'll allow you to start developing your own application. I wish you good luck, and thank you for listening.